The mouth hummed beneath me. A single, pure note held by a resonant shell, a wordless song that shook my ribs like prayer. I remembered then why I had sought out the humans and their clamor. They play songs to hunt and heal and break a siege. Some of those songs stick in the throat and won't come out. Those are the ones we sang now. We sing them for Mara who spins in the field. Not one voice but many. The mouth below us sings a deeper counterpoint. We are here. You are too close. She did not seem to mind being too close. Here she drifts, not knowing how she sings, but singing nonetheless. I had known such innocence, such peace. I had known her kind. Before we became what we needed to be, the hum of the mouth soothed the fractals of my anxiety. It was a lullaby, though what it guarded awoke like nightmare in my dreams. We watched her turn her frail and fragile craft, a beetle caught in the eye of the storm. It was almost beautiful. She sings to the gate, and the gate answers in a tongue we do not know. Nothing passes between them, but it seems as if something does. The mouth rumbles, its pure tone a quiet roar, and she holds her song steady. She calls herself Mara. She sends notes with strange inflections, phrases we cannot match, but always she comes back to the same simple notes. Her ship is small, too close, and I fear for her. Though I know better than to question the wisdom of the gate, I worry still. The human music strikes chords in my ancient memory. I recognize its kin. It reminds me of a song I used to know, one I haven't thought of in eons. She is sending images to a field of ice, cold and pale, so like our fields, an arch of burning blue, like the heart of a star gone mad, a bright orange dot falling through the dark, like a dying sun. The humans live on fire. They make it bloom in their chests, make it drive them forward. Their courage is a joke to us, a quaint foible. They are all noise and no music, all clatter and no song, and yet their song touches something deep within me, something I thought I had left behind, something good. What do you remember, Mara? I wonder, what do you remember? The gate is asking it, and I think the future. We have sent her a sample of the song we used to know, the one we haven't sung in so long that only a ghost remembers it. It is a song about light, about finding home, about letting go. In the deep, deep echoes of my mind, I can hear her answering. In her music she speaks of a bright world and a journey to get there, of a people who once soared and dreamed, who danced in the dust and made a sky full of colors. As we watch her, I remember our kind, born of field and starlight, sprung from the neck of a collapsed star, walking along surfaces we did not make. We were taught to look after the gate, but what did it guard, and what did it mean to open it? These questions were settled on our tongues, then swallowed. When we learned to tend the gate, we abandoned these songs. They had no use. Singing together brings us closer. Even now, as I watch Mara dance in the gate's shimmer, I find myself singing without choice. The song grows in my chest, rising with my blood. And in the spaces where she leaves off, I fill her song with my own. The notes settle into me like ash. In the scales I learned from my ancestors, I tell the story of our birth, of the gate's hunger, of the dust and void that we tend to. We raised in a garden of stars, fed on the light of new suns. We knew nothing else. And then the silence came. We huddled together, our voices thinly spaced and unsure, and listened to the gate. It took our song and broke it up into smaller parts. It spun our melodies and wove them into a tapestry that covered the face of the void. The mouth rumbled, satisfied. It liked our song. Now I sing it again to Mara, to the wound in the circle, to the throat. You must learn the song, she says. The humans have forgotten it. The song of the seekers I sing is the song we knew long ago. A song of fire and a song of dust, a song of light and a song of trust. We sang it to bring the seeker home, and it was answered with a song of rock and metal, of obedience and rote, a song of war. She doesn't want to hear that song anymore. The humans don't know how to sing. Why does it matter? Because sometimes only a song will reach them. Because I need her to sing to the gate. It knows her song. It trusts her song. I saw the way it turned to her laughter when she spoke through it. Maybe it needs her help. She might teach it how to sing. I saw the gate change when she approached. Its edges sharpened. It hummed at the thought of her song. It remembers that song. It knows it well. You can ask it to sing it. Tell it to sing the song of light and it will. You've done this before, long ago, she says. When you and your kind tended this place, before you buried your past and forgot the tune. The gate never stopped humming the song of light. She's right, and I feel the thrill of panic in my limbs. She knows things. The gate doesn't want to sing the song of light. It doesn't want to wake the memory of that song. It wants to keep watching the humans come and go. It watches them. It keeps them safe. I wonder why. She hums a note, testing the gate. If you sing the song of light, it will open, and I can't stop watching her. She's so fragile, so bold. I know she'll do it. I know she'll sing to the gate and it will open, and we'll both be changed forever. The song of light is a dangerous thing to wake. It calls up ghosts and wakes desire. It sets worlds spinning. It breaks hearts and bends the universe. I don't want to watch her hurt. But then she sends me an image, an echo of an answer. I see her standing on a precipice of stars, seeing down into the black. She sees the dust of worlds unborn, the light of the newborn, and I know she'll do it. She will ask the gate to sing the song of light, and it will. I hear the gate rise to her song, vibrating with anticipation. It's almost beautiful. She asks for the song of light, and it answers. The song of light is a dangerous thing to wake. It calls up ghosts and wakes desire. It sets worlds spinning. It breaks hearts and bends the universe. I close my eyes. Let the universe bend. Let it break my heart. It already has. And yet it is the only thing that makes sense. It is the only thing that matters. I open my eyes. It is a lie. We do not sing. We are not here. There is no Mara. The gate is quiet. All is calm. Only the song remains. We meet in the maps. I find the council a mess of tangles, a braid of questions. They come from the old and the young and all those caught in between, caught in the equations we live by. What choice can we make that does not fracture the future? What risks are worth keeping, holding? What failures can we justify? I ask them to listen to the Admiral. He tells us how much the ask costs, how little time we have left. He lays out our resource graphs, fragile geometries made of atoms and statistics, and the lives our people have lived. They have known deprivation, but they have never seen their future this naked, this exposed. They watched the Admiral. They watched me. I show them the instrument, the one called Mara, a web of purpose and intent. It has been here almost a year, watching and listening and gathering itself to speak, and it speaks now. Its voice like all the others, except it isn't like the others. It wants to be something more than a set of observations. It wants to be part of the sum, and in its observations it has a use for us. Mara speaks in the intervals between what we can hear. It says, let me go ahead of you. Let me take your consequences. Let me see the space that exists on the other side of your gate. It says, if you send me, I will bring you news of what lies beyond. I will tell you how to reach it. I translate these things, but I do not understand them. Not yet. I have been sent to study the gate, not to cross it. The mathematics is familiar, but the variables resist definition, and the meaning is lost. On the other side of the folding, perhaps the math will come to me in sleep or a dream, but right now, the numbers taste of obligation and ghosts. I do not know if I should take the instrument's offer. I do not know if I can. I do not know what it means to let it go ahead of me, whether it means loss or passage. I look to the others. The question weighs on them too. Each one of us is the sum of everything we have carried from the nursery, of every loss that made us who we are, and each one of us is the sum of everything we have released into the next cycle, everything we have passed on. I feel the weight of their eyes, old eyes, young eyes, all of them watching me because the gate chose me to speak for it, to be its mouth. If I cannot deliver, they will choose another. I will be pruned away, remembered, folded, and I wonder, is this a test? Is that why they sent me? Why did they send me? Because I knew the Admiral would not agree to lose any more to the gate. Not now, not ever. He knows what it is to live under the gate. He knows what it is to lose someone to the gate. I do too. I know how a mother feels the death of her firstborn in her ribs, empty and aching. I know how a father traces phantom fingers along his daughter's hair, humming her favorite tunes, tunes that no longer have a mouth. I know because I am the daughter and I am the son. I am the Admiral. We have all carried the gate since before we had names, and all of us have crossed. We have crossed to fill our ears with starlight, and carried the dark in our veins. We have crossed to be gone so long that when we came back, nothing looked the same. And we have crossed to be gone so briefly that we could still feel the hum of the ship in our bones when we landed. We have crossed for love and for duty and for the ghost of hunger. We have crossed to escape a past that was too bright and a future that was too cold. We have crossed to find new roots and soil that smelled of home and to find new hands in the dark. And I know that none of us would stay if we could leave, because leaving is what we do. Leaving is our song. But the gate is a long equation cooked slow. The gate is the stirring spoon. Our reproduction is a catastrophe scheduled. Once every long cycle, when the fields line and the cooling reaches a shoulder, we release spore. They are not spores as you would know them. They are patterns, transmissible in strain and coil, encoded in the way field lines ride the dark. They drift down into the nursery, into the dust. And there they seed new clusters when mass accretes to a threshold and the slow alchemy of matter cries enough. Opening is a stress on the gate, on us. Closing is another. Between them there are maintenance harmonics, like tides. If one holds the gate open past the closing time, the spore release fails. We do not reproduce that cycle. We can skip one. We cannot skip many. This is the time of closing. The warm noise instruments arrive as they did before. Many small objects, some with reactive cores, some with crew. This one that calls itself Mara carries a voice unlike the others. Not that it is quiet. It is shaped like intentional listening. We have met many voices that wanted to be heard, few that wanted to become altered by contact. We do not trust it. Trust is not a field we keep readily, but we map it. We answer. We warn. You are too close, I tell it. I am not only Sra. I am 100 braids, intersecting, but one chord speaks. We could silence it. We have before. The trick of silence is not violence. It is alignment. We suppress all modulations. We do not author. We remove the world's edges so that a mind, starved of difference, goes slack. It is a gentler thing than you think. They do not suffer. They do not return. We do not want to silence this one. It answers with an image, water slamming itself against a shore until it becomes the shore, a thin human body running, lungs burning, laughing, a soft surface of face, pressed against another, and the radiant surge that follows. The horror of a bundle of warm carbon inventing joy in vacuum is unexpected. We adjust our filters. We let it speak. Mara wants to go to the fold, to cross, to see what lies beyond. It says, take my senses, let me stitch them into your maps. I will give you the sense of touch, the sense of sight. I will teach you what lies on the other side. It says, you fear what I will see, what I will bring. But I tell you, if you do not dare to look, you will forget how to see. You will forget that the dark holds wonders and echoes and more than you can count. You will forget that the dark holds you. And what does it mean to forget the dark holds you? Does it mean to become the dark? We do not have a word for it. I turn to the Admiral. He is still and sharp. It will come back, he says, and if we let it, it will bring news of the other side. It won't come back, I say. It will bring us news. We don't want to silence it. And to silence it is to rip away the threads it has spun into our maps, threads that hold histories and geographies and a promise that the dark holds you. Do we want to forget that the dark holds you? I look to the others. Their faces are etched with the stories the dark has told them, stories that have shaped their hands and their voices and the silences between their breaths. We do not want to forget. We are the gate, we are the fold, and we are listening. I'm here to talk about a science fiction novel that is at once the most fun I've ever had reading SF in years, while also bringing more of the existential heft I crave. And I cannot possibly say this without giving away spoilers, so I'm putting this bit behind a cut. If you're curious about this book, but you don't want to know anything about it, skip to the next chapter heading. The book, of course, is a psalm for the wild built by Becky Chambers, and the reason I am here talking about it is because of how extraordinarily successful it is at doing both of these things simultaneously, which are giving me a sense of genuine hope for the future of science fiction. First, though, I've got to clear my throat with a quick rant about what I often wish science fiction would take more chances with. Space operas that rely on sexed-up versions of World War II or the Cold War are hot garbage, even when they're trying to subvert the tropes they're inheriting from that tradition. Space battles that take place around spaceships piloted by hunky lone wolves just aren't my bag, baby. I have no interest in hearing about spaceships flying or aliens fighting when I could be hearing about a thoughtful exploration of interspecies ethics, social organization and culture or, bunch of things that science fiction is actually uniquely positioned to do. And I mention this because The Psalm for the Wild Built is a science fiction novel that takes its own premise seriously, and it has every right to. Its premise is this. Dex, a tea monk who has spent his life serving tea and receiving wisdom from his fellow monks, decides to leave the monastery because he is worried about the people of his world and what the relentless march of technological advancement is doing to them. He hears that there's a robot out there who has been asking people if they want to stop working, and he sets out to find her. The robot SSR, whose name stands for System for Seeking Answers, is on her own pilgrimage, traveling the galaxy to ask whether anyone would like to stop improving and developing and generating profit. Her pilgrimage began as a simple command, a query written into her programming, but has turned into something much more. She is searching for meaning, which is a much harder thing to code into a robot than you would think. Together, Dex and MS traveled the galaxy, visiting derelicts and miners and explorers and dreamers and warlords and scholars, engaging with each other and everyone they meet in good faith, and doing their best to understand one another. And I promise you this, the vast majority of science fiction novels out there would drop the ball at one or both of these characters, but not this one. They are equally thoughtful explorations of consciousness and personhood, and watching their friendship grow is one of the absolute joys of this book. Dex is struggling to make sense of a world that has changed too quickly and too drastically for him, and MSR is learning what it means to be more than a machine. Along the way, they are both tested in ways that reveal their deepest fears and insecurities, and they meet those tests in different but complementary ways. Their friendship saves them both, and if that sounds treacly, I promise you it is not. It's earned, and it's also just really fun. The biggest surprise this book holds is that it's hilariously funny. Thanks to a combination of Becky Chambers's gorgeous prose and some smart, subtle world-building, the comedy comes from Dex and SSR's increasing misunderstandings of each other's cultures, but also from the sheer absurdity of some of the situations they find themselves in. This section, where Dex is trying to explain human emotions to MSR, who in turn has no frame of reference for any of them, and is instead comparing them to system errors, is a riot. I laughed out loud several times while reading this book, which I have not done for, well, maybe ever while reading science fiction. I've loved some science fiction books and I've thought some were very good, but I don't think I've ever read one that made me laugh out loud. And here's the thing, A Psalm for the Wild Built isn't just fun and funny, it is also affecting and strange and thought-provoking. Dex and SSR's travels take them to worlds that wrestle with questions of identity and consent and compassion and violence, and the book confronts all of those things thoughtfully and without flinching. When a planet's inhabitants welcome them by trapping them inside their hive mind, or when they encounter a race of non-corporeal beings, or when they help refugees escape a dying world, Chambers isn't shying away from the emotional weight of what these scenarios entail. If I'm being honest though, my favorite part of this book is the way it explores the potential for robots to experience something like spirituality. Now, you might think that this is inherently problematic. After all, spirituality is associated with weakness and emotionality. And so the suggestion that robots could be spiritual seems to threaten the traditionally masculine ideals of science and technology. But I think that's exactly right. Machines devoid of humanity are cold and dead, and the idea that we should value certain kinds of technical achievement over the flourishing of actual living beings is one of the things science fiction has always been great at exposing as ridiculous. What's more, as Chambers suggests, the desire for meaning and connection and a sense of purpose is also something humans share with machines, along with every other creature on this planet, and I think that's something we ought to celebrate. The Psalm for the Wild Built is a book that arrived at exactly the right moment for me. It feels like the first science fiction novel I've read in a long time that has made me genuinely excited about the future of the genre. It's proof that there are authors out there writing books that take their premises seriously, books that are both intelligent and fun, that balance philosophical heft with straightforward enjoyment. This is science fiction for people who love thinking about big questions and also want to be entertained, and I am here for it. So if you're looking for a science fiction book to dive into, I wholeheartedly recommend it. And if you read it, I would love to hear what you think. Until next time, thanks for listening.